G'day, friends and fans. Welcome to Writing Corner, episode 30 Writing What You Want to Read. Now, when you look back at my previous videos, of course, you're going to say, what do we say? Notice, yes, you're going to notice that I have actually said, don't listen to Steve King, don't listen to uh, well, what? No, what was it called again? Know your audience. Yes, know your audience. So, how do you reconcile this? Well, when you listen to Stephen King, he's going to tell you how to write like Stephen King. Same goes with Stan Lee's book and many others. I found The Art of Writing very helpful. Now, of course, when I talk about knowing your audience, that's when you are writing for an audience. You have to know the tropes, if you're writing for a science fiction, you're writing for a science fiction audience, know the tropes of science fiction. But still, deep down, why do you write what you want to read? Well, if you don't like it, how are you going to know if other people are going to like it? Not everybody's going to like what you write anyway. But a common argument against this is you are there to please the audience. But the thing is, unless you break established tropes, you are generally going to please the audience. But you have to know what the audience likes. That's why you go and look at the tropes for different genres. But see, if you write a story you love, that comes through in the writing. You will, if you enjoy your protagonists and the other characters, they are going to be alive. They're going to have some imagination to them. If you don't like them, you're not going to put in the effort. This is proven time and time again, not just with small time writers. This is proven what's been going on in Hollywood. How many times have we heard, "Oh, I was just hired to do Star Wars. I don't actually write it, like it. I didn't read it." Ryan Johnson and others. But you got to ask yourself, right? Is it easier to write what you like and what you know, or is it hard to slog? And when you hear about some of these shows been in development for years, you actually understand why they're such a hard slog, other than their enormously bloated paychecks. But if you make your book a hugs, if you don't like what you're writing, here's a tip. Go back and read your favorite books. Fall in love with reading and and rediscover your love of writing. And your love of writing comes through if you're writing what you know and what you like. And it's the same with tropes. You don't have to use every trope. I mean, one of the most overused tropes in fantasy is my elves are better than your elves, or dragons above everything, I never seem to. So, this competition for the biggest, baddest monster. Look, some of the most heartfelt stories and whether it be tragedies or comedies or action or heroic adventure or just military action, or just general science fiction. If you write a well-crafted tale, nobody's going to care how descriptive you are. Is if you're engaged the reader with an interesting tale And that is because you love the characters, you want to bring them to life. And I can't think right now of a book that is so boring, so bland, and so mundane that, but I can think of a movie where the difference between the first Harry Potter, the eighth the first Harry Potter movie, the eighth Harry Potter movie, and I believe, if the last one wasn't Harry Potter Deadly Hallows Part 2 and just some first part of a series, that would be, £5 at the local cinema, and it would close within a week. Come on. Just way too dreary, just way too generic. And then you get to Fantastic Beasts, and there's no love, there's no passion. There's just, yeah, they do stuff now, or they could do this now. Yeah, no worries. She's really in love with him, That's why she has to use mind control. And it's as if he wouldn't fall head over heels in love with her in the first place, which you could see in the first movie. But by the third, that's what happens when there's no love, no passion. That's what happens when your paychecks are too big. You don't have anybody telling you no. And see, this is why beta readers are important. Now, I admit, I gave my book to a beta. I had my I was given a 4 out of 5 by some, a couple 3 out of 5. But for some, a 3 out of 5 is great. 4 out of 5 is exceptional. Nobody, and then they say I never give anybody a 5 out of 5. So yeah. So sometimes when you're looking at books that rating that you know, I would rather if people particularly don't like the genre and they still give you a 3, I mean, fantastic. But you know, you're never going to please everybody, and for some reason, some people are really head over heels for some genres, and they aren't so interested in others. Yet fantasy is the most popular after romance, although it's the prejudice of women. Oh my fifis. But you get some amazing, more in-depth stories, I think, in science fiction. But that's just personal preference. But I think that's why I combine fantasy and science fiction, is that it's just taking what I love, and the exploration of the unknown, the limits of imagination and technology. What it's a real what if. But really, I think most independent writers, they are really putting their heart and soul into their books, and there's just not a lot of love or forgiveness for the independent writer. There's no excuse with a brand name writer to make mistakes. That's true, because they have editors, actually multiple editors, often assistant writers who do all the work. But I'm just saying, if some of these big writers, don't forget, getting paid millions of dollars a year. They only produce what, a dozen movies in a 20-year, not even, no, half a dozen movies in a 20-year career. Come on, these big writing teams, you know, you got to prioritize and understand they're not writing what they love. They are, and that's why they are failing. They are, and that's why I think, yes, they got the money up front initially because there was no competition. But now you look at it, there's more competition. You cannot deny the impact of Amazon to open up the marketplace. Now I'm looking at Novello and other platforms because I think now, I'm not saying Amazon is dying. It's just that I'm not going to give all my money that I earn to Amazon to advertise. Just to, no, they want too much now. It's not. They're taking all the fun, and worse, they've made it hard for people to get reviews. I don't know what it is. Um, I see so many people asking, why do these books get reviews? And even though they've got hundreds of views already, why are they still getting reviewed and others people are not? And yeah, that's just the prejudice of the reader, I guess. That some readers will value a book so much and want to signal that they are the reader, that they are in with the in crowd. And it's true, the in crowd, people follow the herd, and the herd, like Kim Kardashian, Oprah, and many others, they will charge you a fortune to say, "Oh, I love this book." Now, but that doesn't mean you'll love it, and that's starting to come across too. The death of the influencer, and the sooner influencer marketing dies, the better. Put up your hand if you're an independent author who's been bombarded every day to pay somebody to market their book to 1 million people. And you add it all up, and given the rule of 10, from 1 million people, 100,000 might click your link, and it goes on. So you've clicked the link. But out of that 100,000, only 10,000 are going to consider buying your book. And out of that, maybe only 1 in 10 might buy your book. And maybe out of that, sad reality is only a tenth of those might enjoy it. That is, and you look at massive influencing marketing, and I bet you, if you were honest, you would look at Harry Potter and say, yeah, without the marketing, that book would have never, ever sold. And it's not the only one. I have seen I don't know what it is. It's just some authors, the stories are just so, what the fuck crazy were you thinking? And some of these writers got paid millions of dollars, and their book becomes a movie, and they put it on the bestseller list, but they don't tell you how many it sold, and yet it's not trending on Amazon, and then you see it's bombed at the cinema, and you're going, what the fuck are these people thinking? I apologize if you are upset, but a lot of these big name books just don't have the love. I'm looking back at Asimov and Arthur C. Clarke. And they had real passion for their craft. Thomas Sawyer, before they and Enid Bunny and all those others, before the woke mob edited it and blanded down everything and shredded all the fun out of life. Don't give in to this trend of dumbing things down. When you're writing, you got to consider first impressions. So you got 1 million people looking at your book now, 100,000 are only 100,000 are going to pick it up. 10% of those are going to read the back cover. 10% are going to flick through the first chapter. 10% are going to decide to buy it, and only 10% are going to buy it. And then out of those 10% who buy it, only 10 people are going to love it. And maybe one review. So before you publish, you're going to go through the cover, the back cover, the first chapter. You're going to consider how much development you're going to give each character. Is the story structure captivating? I mean, if you read a lot of these Hollywood books, they'll tell you, do the beat, man, the 8-beat, you can't go wrong, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Short chapters, 3,000 words, just boink, 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 boink. There you go. Treat the customer like an idiot. But what happens when the market is saturated? Well, just write what you know, write what you love. Learn your tropes. Know the audience. That's why they're tropes. If the audience didn't like them, they wouldn't be popular tropes, would they? But when it comes to story structure, beginning and middle. Divide your story up, divide it up until you know your length. I mean, science fiction and fantasy are longer books than fantasy. Science fiction tends to be longer than fantasy. Fantasy tends to be longer than romance, comedies, and your novels. But some of these thrillers, they're like 600 pages, and you read through them, and halfway through, you're falling asleep. I think that's why they're failing. They're just, for whatever reason, the epic thriller is just, I don't know, the passion isn't there. They've just become so generic that, there's a ticking bomb, the 24 hours to find the bomb, and every clue leads to the next clue, and everybody, just seems to coincidence their way to the end. I don't know why this is. I guess maybe it's because we tend to take the path of least resistance, the easiest route, and try to copy the success of others. And that is why so many people are failing. Again, that's why I do not listen to Stephen King. It works for Stephen King because he's Stephen King, but nobody knows you're going to write like Stephen King. And even if you do, they're just going to say you wrote like Stephen King. So, know your audience is simple. I mean, I may have taken a long way around of saying it, but it's to get you to sink in the tropes. Know your tropes for your audience, and your audience is by genre. And genres are broken up. I hope that helps you. It helps me. I'm always seeking to improve. Thank you for listening. Please like, share, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. Thank you all for listening. Consider supporting the channel. And I'll see you all in the next video.